All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, Ship It Nation, YouTube station? We are back with another edition of the NBA show. It's me, your boy Ham. I got BJ here with me. I'm excited. We were rocking and rolling over here at the Nation. But BJ, before I kick it over to you, one of these comments hit close to home, and it's from my guy, Go Collect. You'll be here one day, BJ. I used to have my daughter in the car with me listening to these shows, and I'd hear a lot of cuss words, and I hated it. I had to turn it off. Hey, we're going to keep it PG today. For you, Go Collect, and for anybody else out there with kids in the car, we're happy you're tuning in for us. Make sure you hit that like. Make sure you hit that subscribe for us. We certainly appreciate. Before I get to the folks in chat, though, BJ, man, how was your weekend? We were dominating over here at the Nation, but how was your weekend out there in sunny California?
Yeah, it was good. We actually were sunny this week. We got into like the 70s, couldn't miss getting outside, touching some grass. But it was fun. Nation's heating up. I know you were probably going to get to it, but I'll steal it from you. Rio again, multi-sport athlete, shipper. Shout out to him. But, big stuff. NHL streets, PGA sheets. Tambo stole a ticket over there for PGA as well. So shout out to him. Nation's heating up, and it's been heating up, so I consider us hot nowadays, if you will.
Yeah, we're in fuego. Rio just continues to smash. That's the fifth sport I have him shipping in. I mean, all the major sports, MMA, and then now PGA, this guy just doesn't miss. And a special shout out to my guy, Jason Turner. Jason is always in here in the chat. I saw where Jason had a good weekend as well. So shout out to everybody that won this weekend. Shout out to everybody that's a part of this nation, this community. No better community than over here at Ship It Nation. And if you aren't a member of the Nation, head on over to Ship It Nation. Enter the promo code. I believe it's SHIP. I think it's SHIP 50. Yeah, that'll get you 50% off your first month. That'll get you all access. We certainly would love to have you over here at the Nation. But we got 8 games to talk about tonight. BJ, let me get back on the right screen. But 8 games to delve into tonight. Got a lot of injuries. The Milwaukee Bucks, BJ, they got a whole lot better tonight because Giannis is going to be sitting on the bench. Very good tight end.
You stole my words from me.
Hey, very good tight end. Not a very good basketball player, but he's a decent DFS guy, I guess. But, hey, if you're looking for a guy that can dunk and maybe get a rebound when no one else around, Giannis is your guy. I have to say, I watched the entire Memphis-Milwaukee game last night, and Jaren Jackson Jr. is a better basketball player than Giannis. I mean, I'm going to say it. I'm gonna steal a line from Kendrick Perkins. I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. Jaren Jackson Jr., Defensive Player of the Year, ate Giannis's lunch last night. But, hey, that's my hot take of the day.
Make sure Nades isn't in here. We don't want him chiming into chat, defending his boy.
No, Newens is in here. Newens is about to come at me. So, hey, that's my take of the day, man. Giannis is frustrating to watch. He is a man-child. He's a beast. Put some shoulder pads on him, though. But anyway, chat, interested to hear what you have to say. What's Go Collect saying? At least Ham doesn't have to worry about playing Giannis tonight. There you go. Will not be playing Giannis, even though he's a great DFS player, man. He's frustrating to watch on the basketball court.
Hey, before we get going, what's your take on the Luka stuff? I knew you were in bed. I almost threw that out in Discord that Ham's gonna wake up to some crazy news in the morning. What's your 10-second take?
I was definitely in bed. But man, that's wild. I mean, obviously that took everybody by storm, right? No one knew anything. I think the biggest thing for me, outside of it being crazy, is I don't think Nico Harrison, I didn't know who the guy was before that trade, but it doesn't sound like he knows what he's doing. Doesn't sound like J. Kidd knew what was going on. We'll see.
Did you see his face? J. Kidd looked like he was like in prison, dude, watching that interview. But if I'm not mistaken, that's the GM that worked with was it Nike or Adidas, whoever didn't sign Steph Curry and messed it up, and had I think it was LeBron or somebody else on the PowerPoint. But
they said
man, I don't know.
So I might have said Kendrick Lamar earlier. I meant Kendrick Perkins if I said Kendrick Lamar now that Wardo says that. But hey, yeah, what about you? I mean, obviously it's big news. I mean, Luka in that purple and gold should be iconic. They're saying it's his team now, right? With LeBron having 1, maybe 2 years left in the tank, or at least in LA for that matter. What's your take on it?
Yeah, man, I'm a conspiracy guy. I think the NBA needed to get their ratings up, and no better way when we're getting through the dog days than probably making the biggest sports trade in my lifetime so far. So I saw it and I'm thinking, man, that's going to be really, really cool. Can't wait for it. But the Mavs stuff is just crazy to me. Obviously, the easy stuff is 25-year-old for 31-year-old, but yeah, I wasn't in love with AD, and I do like Luka a little bit more. But I'll steal what Ryan Russillo said before we dive into Slate. I love his podcast, and he was talking about, it's like, how do you not shop him around the league if you're going to get rid of him, right? Like, you could have got so much more, even contact for Giannis or Ant or somebody like that, because he'll be able to get that trade done with a lot of teams. But I'm gonna be on the hill that, hey, this might be Silver pulling some strings, get those ratings up, and get the Lakers back into the discussion again.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It was a bad trade for the Mavs in theory, but man, you're adding. I mean, when AD's healthy, which is a big if, right? Like AD healthy with Kyrie, with those other twin towers, with Lively, like, good gosh, like, I mean, that rivals like Mobley and Allen for the Cavs. It's just tough sledding down there, but only time will tell. We'll see if AD can stay healthy, but. Anyway, everybody, got a bunch going on in chat. A lot of people don't have time to say hello to everybody, but certainly appreciate everyone tuning in over here. We'll have everything dialed in for you tonight. But let's dive in right away. We're going to look at the Stone over here, proprietary information. We got a juicy one on the docket for the first game. We got the Wizards. The Wizards, break up the Wizards, beating the T-Wolves on Saturday night, or should I say Timberwolves. Don't want to get yelled at, but beat the Timberwolves on Saturday night. Now take their winning streak into Charlotte with no LaMelo Ball. Micic, I believe is how you say his name. He's questionable as well. And for the Wizards, you got Poole's in.
Kuzma, I think Poole's downgraded to questionable now, no?
Oh, is he downgraded? Okay,
yeah,
I did not see
my
that.
bad.
But outside of him, I don't think – let me just check the injury report again real quick. I don't think there's any major injury news outside of Sarr. Is the only one that plays a ton of minutes, but Sarr is out for the Wizards. Then for the Hornets, it is LaMelo Ball out. Trey Mann has been out. Cody Martin. Micic is going to be questionable. Brandon Miller. I think Okogie left the other night early, and Okogie is out tonight as well. So talk to me a little bit about this game, Wizards at the Hornets.
Yeah, I gave the Timberwolves the old kiss of death on the Quick Hits video, saying the Wizards didn't have a chance, and they come out and win that game. So I'll take a little credit for the Wizards dub there with the good old jinx. But no, man, this is two ugly teams, when you look at them, and they both obviously have their injury problems. Interesting start to the slate. One of the lower totals on the entire slate, if not the lowest. You brought it up. That was my fault pre-show for not giving you the pool stuff, so I overstepped that. But questionable, and I think everything gets kind of jumbled here. I'm not looking at much from the Wizards side. Just to kind of play the same kind of tone we've been talking about over the last week or so, is that the Hornets have been sneaky good defensively since the start of January, top 5 in defense, and their paint defense has looked a lot better. So before we even get the Poole news, if I'm anticipating him in, it's really just Poole, Kuz, and Valanciunas for me. Valanciunas kind of got, some of us, our confidence back in him, playing 30 minutes for 30 DK the other night after some stinkers in a row. I think we could keep going back to the well. We know that, he's a great, fantasy point per minute producer. And in these closer games, he does get the minutes. If he doesn't pick up those dumb fouls in the first 2 minutes of the game where he wants to, show his toughness, which is very frustrating to watch. But even when he gets his second foul in the first quarter, he still gets some runs. So don't mind Valanciunas, obviously going to be owned as he always is when he gets to start. And almost at 6K is kind of flirting with a pretty expensive tag. But I think this would be an okay spot to go back to him. If Poole's in, I don't mind Poole, but it's the Kyle Kuzma stuff for me. I think we talked about it on Friday. Guy just doesn't pass the ball. Super frustrating to watch, but it's not if you roster him, right? So he's coming off of a huge night, 31 real life, took 24 shots. I think especially if Poole's out, I'll give him a bump. But with Brogdon being back, I don't really have much love for anybody else here. I think the Koulibalys, the Georges, the Bub Carringtons, and Brogdon back into the mix. His first game back in a month, played 21 minutes. I would anticipate those minutes to kind of slowly go up. So let's give him 24 tonight. So if Poole's out, I don't mind Brogdon. But other than that, no real love for the Wizards. And then jumping over to the Hornets stuff, with Okogie out and Mishik questionable, this is going to be an interesting kind of team to look at. Obviously, we'll get the news before lock, but if both those guys are out, well, Okogie's already out, but Green, I mean, he's going to be locked into some huge minutes as he's already been getting over the past, week or so. 4,500 isn't a super great tag. Do you feel comfortable rostering Green at that tag? But don't mind him with huge minutes. Obviously, Miles Bridges is going to be the guy that's going to lead off here. He's been absolutely killing it, with Ball and Miller off of the floor. He's the primary ball handler. His rebounding numbers are up. And sneaky from the secret chat. I don't have chat pulled up, but from our sneaky chat, might be in line for a triple double tonight, according to our guy in chat, Rio. Interesting spot at 9K, pretty expensive, but there is no ownership there, so I don't mind that. Mark Williams is okay for me at 8,400. But the real news is going to be deciding if Mikic gets out, it's going to be between Simpson and then Isaiah Wong. We don't have Wong listed here, but I would anticipate him getting backup point guard run if Simpson was to get the start here. So obviously his price is up at 4,400, but he's going to be a very popular value play if we get injury news before lock.
Yeah, excellent breakdown there. I mean, Josh Green, I said it the other night in chat. I said I wouldn't play him with someone else's money. I mean, that guy, 30. If you're looking for a guy to play 30 minutes and get you 17 DraftKings points, Josh Green is your guy. But outside of that, he'd be tough to play. And yeah,
if he gets 35 minutes, what do you think? You think he gets up to 21 or something?
Well, he got 33 the other night and got to 17. So if you're looking for that, then yeah, click Josh Green's name. I just don't see him doing it. That little birdie that we talked to before the show said Miles Bridges was the play. So I'm going to be dabbling in some Miles Bridges stuff tonight. But yeah, tough to play those Wizards. This is a bad game all in all, but I do like some Miles Bridges thanks to that little birdie. Let's move on to the next game. We have the Hawks heading into Detroit, and man, Cade Cunningham has just been absolutely balling out of control out there. Gets to take on this Hawks team tonight. Let me look up this injury report. Let's see if there's any. I know Jake. Go ahead.
All I have is Trace probable and Capella's out. Other than that, no real surprises from anything that's changed over about a week.
Yeah. Isaiah Stewart is back tonight, I believe, from his 2-game suspension. But yeah, talk to me a little bit about this game. Cade Cunningham, 10-3. That is a big boy price tag for Cade, but can he pay that off? Talk to me about Hawks at the Pistons.
Yeah, I mean, all season long, we've wanted to target players against the Hawks. And as of lately, it's been really bad for the Hawks defensively. They're giving up a ton of transition points. They're not good in the paint. So we'll start with that Pistons sides. I think Cade is going to be one of my favorite spend ups on the slate, just from the pace, just from how, high his floor is and such a great matchup. Definitely Cade over Trey. But I'm going to keep the player pool kind of small for the Pistons side. I love them tonight. I think this is a really good spot to get 2, maybe even 3 guys, with that GPP, $5 GPP on DraftKings, 100K to first. This would be a spot where I would be okay getting 3 of these guys, but I'm going to keep the pool small. Like I said, I love Cade. I do like Durant at 6'4", and it's going to be ugly Tobias Harris at sub 6K. Those are going to be my 3 favorites. Don't want to talk about Tim Hardaway. Don't want to even implant that in anybody's mind at 4-1. Been playing okay, but no thank you. It has to hit jump shots, and I don't like playing guys that depend on the jump shot. And then Thompson, they've been really careful with some of his minutes on a back-to-back, and we've seen whether it's the front end or the back end, then get 14 minutes and then, get 22 minutes or get 22 minutes and then get 14. I think there's going to be a game where he's in the teens in minutes, so I'm going to stay away at 4,600. That doesn't necessarily bump a guy like Beasley with his tag as high as it is. That's more just kind of a stay away spot for me. And then jumping over to the Hawks side, not much love at all. I mean, you can make a case for Trey at 1%, 2% ownership. Just not for me. Like I said, I'd rather find the money and get up to Cade for 600 more. Risha Shay's getting huge minutes, and I anticipate those minutes to continue to grow. So he'll probably be my favorite play at 4,600. that's pretty much it. I mean, Hunter off the bench, he's been playing okay, and his tag quite isn't there. But if you're looking for pieces to run back in a game stack, I think it'd be, Ricochet or Hunter. So I'll kind of check the box on both of those. Noah Kongwu or Barlow, with how well the Pistons have been playing defensively down low. Duren's actually been sneaky good over the last couple of weeks. So that's pretty much it. At first, it's a pretty intriguing game with a nice high total and a close spread. But I just don't see much I love on the Hawks side. So it's really just going to be the single player run backs for me with 2 or 3 Pistons in game stacks.
Yeah, I mean, Dyson Daniels may vacuum up Cade Cunningham, according to Kid Kobe. Hebrew says he doubts it there, but should be an interesting game. I think Cade's a great play, but man, 10-3, big boy price tag there. Let's move on to the next game. We got a pretty good real life game. Fred VanVleet is going to miss tonight's contest. Sengun is questionable, I believe. And then OG Anunoby, who had a non-contact injury Saturday night against the Lakers, is out for the Knicks. But other than that, you're going to see these guys playing 35, 38 minutes tonight. Josh Hart, Mr. Triple-Double himself, is probable. He's going to be in the lineup. But that's the big news. Jabari Smith Jr. is out as well, but has been. But any love for this game? Rockets, Knicks, decently high total. But talk to me about this game. Any love for these teams?
Yeah, I think obviously I'm not surprising anybody by saying OG out of the lineup is going to hurt them defensively. But I think the Rockets are in for a really good spot tonight. I think with Fred VanVleet off of the floor, I think Jalen Green's going to just chuck up. I think Amen's going to get a ton of minutes. I think, if the Sengun stuff, I would anticipate him playing, but if he's out, you have value with the Adams stuff at 4-3. Dylan Brooks at 4-8. I'm really going to want to get a handful of pieces from the Rockets. Even Eason off the bench at 54. His price tag's up a little bit, but a really intriguing spot here. So I'll kind of rank them. I think we're obviously going to want, to get one of these Knicks with OG off the floor. We can go a bunch of different ways, which I'll get to in a second. But, I mean, how do we get away? Interrupt me at any point if you disagree. But how do we get away from Jalen Green throwing up 20-some-odd shots, playing a ton of minutes? How do we get Amen, which we've seen games where he plays 40 minutes in a game? How do we get away from that? And then even the Dylan Brooks stuff, I mean, obviously not a fun guy to roster, but he has his games. And Fred VanVleet off the floor, I think, he has upside at his tag. And I'm I'm personally hoping that Sengun does miss to make it easy for me to get Adams at 4-3. The rest of the field will agree. But I really like the pairings here with the run back from the other side. So obviously no Jeff Green at 3K. The Whitmore stuff is tough for me as well with Tate. Obviously interesting tags, but I think this game stays close and we don't see tons of minutes for either one of those guys. Yeah, that's where I leave it. I mean, I'm going to rank him Jalen Green over Amen, but both are going to be excellent plays at no ownership. If Sengun is in, if you don't want to get to either Amen or Jalen Green, I'm okay getting to him. But that's where I stand. I want to get a piece from at least one of these Rockets pieces, if not 2, running back with one of the guys on the Knicks side. So the Rockets, have been really good, top of the league in catch and shoot defense. So I'm going to take Bridges out of my small pool that I have. And if there is going to be a Brunson game, I think this might be a spot for him. Prices coming down 8,600. They're not necessarily, they're a good defensive team in the Rockets, but not great versus pick and roll. So you could make a case and, making a handful of lineups, getting Brunson and Cat together. I know we had that question in chat on Saturday, which really got me thinking. And maybe that's like that's kind of helping my thought process here is trying to make that happen. But I really don't mind that if you're going in the mid-tier, pairing both those guys together and running back a Rocket from the other side. But I also like Hart and Precious a lot. I think with OG off of the floor, I think Hart, is going to be in line, obviously, for huge minutes, but a few extra rebounds. And that'll be important to him, flirting with this triple-double at 7,700. So I like him. And Precious has been playing great at 5,100. So I really like him. So I'll kind of exit this game with, I don't mind getting multiple pieces from both sides, a decently close spread at 6.5 with not the best total, but we know these guys are going to play huge minutes on both sides of the floor. So to quickly rank them one more time, it's going to be Jalen Green, not far ahead of Amen. So they're going to be very close, followed by, depending on the news, in Sengun, it would be Adams next. And if Sengun's in, I think it's going to be Brooks. And then jumping over to the Knicks side, I think this is a game you can get to Brunson. I think this is definitely a game you can get to Cat. And I'm going to go Hart and Precious and kind of leave Bridges out of my pool.
Yeah, excellent breakdown there. My thing with Green, is he just doesn't do anything else other than shoot, right? He may score 30 points, but may end up with like 38 DraftKings points, where Thompson traditionally doesn't score as much. I mean, he can, but he does more of those peripherals, and his points add up faster. And I know they play different positions and the price discrepancy, but I like Thompson over Green, Jalen Green, that is, not Jeff Green, personally. And then on the flip side, it just depends on how many times Jalen Brunson wants to pump fake and jump into somebody. If he can do that 12 times and get 24 free throws, he's a great free throw shooter. So if he can get to the free throw line, yeah, Jalen Brunson's a great play. But he is absolutely awful to watch to play the game, makes the game awful to watch. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, that's my take. That's my rant for Jalen Brunson.
And then to jump in chat, I don't think Deuce McBride gets a start. I think it is Precious. I think they want to stay big in this matchup. Obviously, if Deuce is in the starting lineup, we're definitely going to like him and want to get to him. But I don't know, man. Do you agree with that? Do you think it's Precious or Deuce McBride in the starting lineup?
I would say Precious.
Yeah.
I knew I would offend Wardo. Sorry, Wardo. Man, he was tough to watch against the Lakers the other night on Saturday. That was a great game with the King going for a triple-double and Hart. That was a good back and forth. But Jalen frustrates me. But I do like him. He's just frustrating at times.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next game. Should be a good game. Desmond Bane is out for the Grizzlies. Like I said, I watched that game last night versus the Bucks. It was a good game. BC, Brandon Clark is questionable. Zach Edey is available. I think the big news, and there may have been something since the last time, Ja. I think Ja is questionable. I don't know what his status is.
Yeah, still questionable. That's something new came through. Let me look.
Yeah, and then Wemby is questionable as well, but I think he is slated to play. I said it, pre-show or during the show. Jaren Jackson Jr. was absolutely balling last night. Had 35 real-life points, numerous rebounds, threes, things like that. But talk to me a little bit about this game. I know Rio wrote up Jaren Jackson in the slate plan, but I really like Jaren Jackson Jr. Talk to me a little bit about this game. The thing about those Grizzlies too, man, the other team scores and they're shooting the ball within like 4 or 5 seconds. I mean, they're just up and down, up and down. Talk to me about this game. Spurs at Memphis coming off a big win last night.
It's funny you put JJJ and Giannis in the same comparison. Those are like my two least favorite players in the NBA.
Well, just
I hate watching
both last night. I mean,
no. I know what you're doing there, but I don't know. JJJ, I mean, he obviously great play, on DFS, and nights that he plays well, I just don't win because I don't like to roster a guy that seems. Obviously he gets extended run like at the end of the first and in the second quarter, but he's always subbed out with like 8:30 left in the first, which seems a little frustrating. But no, this is a very interesting game. Like you said, Memphis just up and down the floor. Obviously, they're first in transition. They give up a ton of transition points on the other end. Memphis, they're giving up some rim points. I think they're ranking around the top 10 and most rim points allowed. They give up a ton of catch and shoots, and that's just going to kind of fall into the bucket of, hey, they run, they play basketball. But I think this is going to be a great spot for all those guys. The Spurs have just been so bad defensively lately. And really interested to see, when Fox is in that starting lineup, how that's going to look. And they didn't really lose anybody major out of their rotation. So really interested to see how good this team can get. Starting with the Spurs side, I think this is going to be a Wemby spot. Sub 11K. They're giving up plenty of rim points. The game's going to go up and down. It's going to be a lot of rebounds. I'm going to classify this as a Wemby spot here. And then that's going to fall into with the amount of catch and shoots that Memphis gives up, with the amount of transition. I really am interested in all three of these guards up top. Paul being my least favorite, but Castle and Vassell are going to rank, very close for me. I think I'd go with the discount on ownership and salary and go Castle over Vassell. But both of these guys I think are going to be in great spots. I think, Vassell's going to get more shots, but with the discount, I like Castle. And then Chris Paul on an up and down spot could be really, really interesting. No Harrison Barnes love for me. Our boy Keldon, the last 3 games gone for 25, 26 minutes. He's getting some shots up, so I don't mind him, even though his price tag has come up a little bit at 4.3. If for some reason Wemby was to miss, like I said, I agree with you. We're going to lean on him playing tonight, but Shohan at 4,400, don't mind that. I guess, we're going to get to the Bassey stuff again, but I'm curious to see, Shohan's minutes go up here, and I want to be on the right side of that at 4,400. And then for the Grizzlies side, with Ja questionable, I would anticipate he plays, so it kind of messes up some of this stuff. But, I'm curious to hear your take on this after I kind of go through this list. There's so many guys that are worth playing. Obviously, if Ja's out, we're going to load up JJJ at 8,300. But I'm from, like I said, if Morant's out, from Kennard to Wells to Aldama off the bench. If Clark plays, he's a decent fantasy point per minute producer with Wemby off of the floor because the way the rotation is going to fall. I mean, there's going to be a handful. Even Scottie Pippen, I can make a case for. He produces well in a fantasy point per minute spot, but there's just so many guys here. There's just so many available points with a 242 total and almost 125 team total. And all their prices, are priced for upside, if that makes sense, right? If you get one of these guys right and Kennard goes off, 4,800 is not enough. If Jalen Wells gets hot and starts hitting some shots, 4,300 is not enough for him. We saw the Aldama stuff yesterday or the night before. 4,900 just isn't going to be enough. So I'm willing to play any one of these guys except for Zach Edey on the other side going against Wemby. Do you have any favorites here from the Grizzlies side from Team Watch the Games, just from last night? Anybody that really sticks out in your head?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like Scottie Pippen, played 23 minutes last night, had like 36 DraftKings points. Like Santi, I think, played 26 minutes, had I think maybe 40 DraftKings points. It's like if they could just get 5, they're just so deep and they just don't play enough. It's tough for fantasy purposes or daily fantasy purposes, in my opinion, to single anybody out. But yeah, it would be one of those two between Santi and Pippen because they can do so many things without scoring the ball, whether it's assists, rebounding. Pippen had 4 steals last night. I mean, it's tough to duplicate that. And obviously, Ja's back. I don't like him at all. But I would say on the flip side, I was going to ask you if Wemby sits like he did, I think it was Friday or Saturday night, and Bassey gets – it's 4K. Is Bassey a must play at 4K if Wemby sits or not necessarily?
Yeah, I mean, he played so well. I'm gonna look up, yes, it'll be him. Unfortunately, I don't like it because we've seen games where he's really hurt us, and he's not like the most awesome producer in my eyes. But if he does sit, which I don't anticipate, just load up the Bassey at 4K and kind of utilize that as a pretty easy square to fill.
Yeah. And even Edey, I don't know what Ross just said, but I mean, I just looked at Edey. Edey played 19 minutes and had 36 points last night. Like and someone said he didn't play in the fourth quarter. Like if he plays in the fourth quarter, he ends with 45 to 50. It's just tough to
I think specifically this matchup would be tough on him. I think that size is really going to hurt him from Wemby on the other side. Now, if Wemby's out, absolutely you can get to him, but I'm just a little nervous of that. I mean, you look at what Wemby did versus the Bucks, right? They were like the least amount of block shots given up, and I think he had 6 that night. And I know Giannis went off, but it's just such a game changer for some of these low post guys that can't extend from the basket to have big nights versus him.
Yeah. Excellent breakdown there. No De'Aaron Fox, too. I don't know if you said that. I don't think he's quite ready to suit up, but no De'Aaron Fox tonight. Is he playing? That's the question. We saw he's listed under the Spurs. Is De'Aaron Fox playing? Did we ever figure that out?
No, I think he's going to be out. Yeah, I think he's listed on the other. I think he's still listed with the Kings on DK, which they can easily change, but I don't anticipate him playing. I mean, he's going to be what? If Levine is going to play on Wednesday, which is what we saw pre-show, I would anticipate the same for Fox.
Yeah. Moving on to the next game, and we got Rio's favorite player, Domantas Sabonis, the big man. Domantas Sabonis and the Kings taking on the Timberwolves tonight.
Don't say. There you go. I was waiting for the T-Wolves.
Don't say the T-Wolves. Got my boys, Anthony Edwards, who missed the other night. He's listed as questionable. That's obviously big news. Julius Randle is out from what I can tell. Naz Reid, who left the game early the night, is listed as questionable. So some news that we're waiting on here. Obviously, no De'Aaron Fox for the Kings, so don't click his name, even though he is listed under the Kings team. But talk to me about this game. Should be, a good real-life game. We know the Timberwolves pretty good on defense, and then the Kings have been playing much better under Doug Christie. But talk to me about this. Kings at the Timberwolves.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume Nas doesn't play. I mean, I saw a report on Twitter that he had his hand wrapped up post-game, so I wouldn't anticipate him playing after that. And like you said, Levine and I would believe Ant is in. So for this king spot, we're going to get to Ellis at 3,500. That's going to be a very popular value play tonight. I think we're going to get some more news and some more ownership. Or go to this Buck stuff, which we'll get onto the next game as we're throwing darts at who we think is going to play. But yeah, I mean, the king stuff is pretty short and easy for me. These guys are playing huge minutes. I think, Monk has the ability to step up here before they get Levine in the lineup on Wednesday. I think his tag is really fair, even in a tough defensive matchup at 7,200. Anytime Sabonis is sub 10K, you're going to, have interest in him. And I love the fact we're not seeing higher ownership on him. 15 is pretty decent on an 8-game slate. But, I mean, we're talking about a guy that just prints 50 bombs with upside of 70. Obviously had a stinker last time out, but that was versus OKC, so I'll definitely allow that. I think they lost the game by like 34, 35 points. So I'll definitely allow that. And then we have value with Ellis, 3,500. I mean, we could see him get what? I don't have a minutes projected here, but I mean, we could see him mid 20 to all the way up to 30 minutes maybe. And 3,500, that's just going to be too cheap regardless of matchup, not to roster. And then, a little bit, kind of consistent with the last couple of Kings games, but Keegan Murray at sub 5K. I mean, he's getting his shot to fall a little bit, 4 for 5 from the 3-point line last time out, 4,700. All these guys are playing high 30 minutes. I think that's going to be a really interesting spot to get to one of these guys when we run the Timberwolves on the other side. So then jumping over there, I think I'm anticipating Nas to be out and I'm anticipating Ant to be in. And we're going to have to distinguish who we want to play in this game. Jaden McDaniels, I think, is just going to play a million minutes again. His price is up at 64, but I really like him with the matchup and how many, 3-pointers and how bad they are in transition from the Kings perspective on defense. I think this is a pretty decent spot for Ant, a very low ownership, 9,500. I could see him having a huge night, especially if he's able to hit shots from behind the 3-point line. I mean, that upside could really be there in a game like tonight. Don't love it and not like a core play of mine, but if you're making a handful of lineups, you're definitely going to want some exposure in this spot and a close spread and a decent total. And I think it's going to be a bump to Rudy as well down low. His price is coming up, but he's been playing well. You take Nas off the floor, so no Randall, no Nas. I mean, he's going to be the primary big guy down low, and I think there's definitely upside at that tag. And then we're going to have to distinguish between Dillingham and NAW down low. NAW's price is up to 4,800. He's been playing well, but 4,800 is kind of a real tag in my opinion. So I'm going to be leading Dillingham, who's been playing awesome at 3,800 as kind of the value pieces from this side. But no Conley for me and Ant as a very sneaky GPP play because I anticipate Nas to be out. What are your thoughts here in this game? Do you have anybody that really stands out to you? Because, this is going to be a game that might be easy to cross off, but you're going to want some Ellis, you're going to want some Murray, you're going to want some Jaden McDaniels on the other side.
I mean, the biggest thing that sticks out to me is that Keon Ellis is terrible at basketball, but I do understand that he's $3,500 and is going to play 35 minutes. So I would love to find somebody that's comparable to that, but I just don't know if we're going to find it on this slate, right? A starter that's going to play a bunch of minutes. I just don't think he's very good. Yeah, I think he's bad. And then outside of that, I mean, it's probably going to be a cross-off for me, depending on, the Nas news. I mean, the points you made about Rudy Gobert, I really like. No Nas, no Julius. He should see maybe an uptick in 4 or 5 minutes. Should see some more rebounds. I mean, who else are they going to put in there? My boy, former Iowa Hawkeye great, Luka Garza. I mean, who got some run the other night. I don't know. Sabonis is a nice play. Maybe Monk, but yeah, more of a cross off than anything for me, BJ.
Yeah, I would agree. We're going to get to it in the next game, but Ryan Rollins or Ellis for you?
Ryan Rollins all day.
Yeah. Okay, good. Even though the ownership, what do you think, Ryan? We're going to get to it, but Ryan Rollins will be what, like 65? He's going to be one of those very popular value pieces tonight. So obviously him, but I could see you getting weird and kind of mixing that up. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, what about you? I mean, I think that's a no-brainer. Ryan Rollins is good at basketball.
My answer is going to be just play both. we got Joker on the slate, just play both, eat up your point guard, shooting guard. But And I think both those guys, I get the Ellis stuff, but damn, man, I mean, 35 minutes, 32 minutes, 31 minutes is going to be tough to fade at that 30, what I say, 3,500. Wardo with the hot takes. Love it.
He's lumping Trae Young in with Keon Ellis in this Micic guy. I love it, Wardo. I love it. Moving on to the next game. This one's a very interesting game to talk about. Someone said it earlier. I'm going to steal their line. We got the Bucks G League team taking on one of the best teams in the NBA. Just got the news. No Dame time. Lillard is out. Giannis has already been ruled out. Bobby Portis is doubtful with personal reasons. Brook Lopez is also questionable on this slate. Did I miss anybody for the Bucks?
No, yeah. Giannis, Middleton out. Dame's officially out.
Yeah.
Portis is out, and Dame's out. So we're just waiting on the Brook stuff only, right?
Right. Yeah. It wouldn't make any sense to play Brook. And then on the flip side, we got Mr. 41-point self, Aaron Wiggins. It was balling out of control Saturday night. He's obviously playing, but the good Jalen Williams is going to be out. I believe Hartenstein, who's been out, is still out.
No, Hartenstein's in. Sorry,
I meant Chet Holmgren. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Chet Holmgren is still out. Hartenstein is in, but 15-point spread. We talked a little bit pre-show. It went up 4 points with all this news. Hey, I mean, Ryan Rollins at $3,100 doesn't have to do a whole lot, but and I like him. Talk to me about the Bucks value, and then we'll get into any OKC that we might like.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not gonna come out with this guide of here's exactly what's gonna happen, because as of right now, I don't think anybody knows what's gonna happen. One thing that we did check pre-show is their G League team is playing in Indy. I don't know if they could get here in time. I agree with you. I don't see Lopez playing tonight. It wouldn't make any sense other than they don't have anybody to play. So like I alluded to pre-show, we have Tyler Smith at 3K. That looks like the only guy that's going to be able to give full run down there, down low. This is going to be something we're going to look to all the way up until lock, until we get more news. But obviously the Ryan Rollins stuff is great. And then I'm going to bunch AJ Green, Gary Trent, Andre Jackson, even Pat Connaughton all into a bucket. I think all of these guys at low tags, regardless of who they're playing against, because, they're going to get so many minutes at such a, small tags, that this is going to definitely be a wait and see kind of approach. So, if you have anything, jump on in. I tried really hard to be able to try and narrow this down before the show to kind of paint you guys a picture or a story that I anticipate kind of jumping in. But as of right now, the way I will leave it, if the game started in an hour and we had no news, I think it's going to be Ryan Rollins, obviously lock him up. And some Tyler Smith at 3K, which we're waiting on Brook Lopez stuff. And I could see both sides of the coin. I could see him just playing 20, 25 minutes just to eat up some minutes because they have nobody else to play. But I think this would be a pretty obvious spot, as Doc has already alluded to. He said his guys were tired. East versus West matchup. You guys were already, going to be, if everybody was in, probably 9-point underdogs. Just kind of taking this one on the chin and kind of moving on, resting up your guys on the road trip. So I could see Lopez sitting at his age. And if that's the case, it's going to be Tyler Smith for me. But I don't think you can go wrong with any of these guys if the game started now. I think, AJ Green obviously gets a huge bump. Andre Jackson, Prince, unfortunately, at 4-2 will be in our lives tonight, as much as we hate to roster a guy that hangs out in the corner. And then jumping over for the Thunder, I mean, like you alluded to, went from 11.5 to now 15.5, might be moving up to 16.5. Wallace is out as well. I don't know if you mentioned that when we were going through, but as much as you want to play Shea at 11 and Hartenstein at 7-4, I just don't think they're going to get enough run in this very, very quick blowout, in my opinion, to where their tags will be able to be paid off with upside. So it's going to fall to all of the value guys for me. To lead off with Wiggins, his price is up at 5,300, but I mean, he showed us upside, and I think he could do the same stuff tonight if he gets the minutes. Isaiah Joe at 4-2 is going to be very interesting in the starting lineup. Even Kenrich Williams coming off the bench at 39, and even Jalen Williams at 45. I think that's where I'll focus on this when I'm making lineups is, hey, look, I anticipate this game to be a blowout. I'm going to want to get these value pieces that have very small tags that offer upside and that are going to get, the end of third quarter and the entire fourth quarter of run, and that's where I'll kind of land.
Yeah, it's a tough game for me. It's max one of the Bucks. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's Ryan Rollins is the one that gets to 30. DraftKings points on almost 10x his salary. That's my take, but I think Prince would be my number 2. AJ Green, Andre Jackson just don't do enough. Then on that flip side, man, the Thunder are obviously going to, in my opinion, dominate this game. But look at all those names listed. I mean, they're like Grizzlies-esque, right, where they can play 10, 12 dudes. And they can have 3 or 4 that get to 30, 35, 40 DraftKings points, and none of them are on the winner, unless you get a guy like Kenrich Williams that goes off for like 30. But it's tough to play the Thunder, in my opinion, BJ. But I do like Ryan Rollins, especially more than Keon Ellis.
Would you? My thought process is one of these value guys with the tags that they have is like gonna be needed. Now I know we have tons of other value, but I don't know. I mean, could you see a winner tonight if the Thunder put up 128? Could you see a winner tonight without a Thunder piece on it?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that there won't be a Thunder player on the winner tonight.
Okay. All right.
In
I
the
like
$5
that.
GPP. I just don't think you're gonna need them.
Yeah, we do have some other.
I mean, what's your take? You think there's going to be a Thunder on the winner?
I just see the upside. I mean, how many points did they score on Saturday as a team? Was that like the night they scored 144? And you look at the outputs from some of these guys. And Wiggins went off, but Kendrick Williams also went off, and Isaiah Joe could offer some upside there. And that's where I kind of stand. It's just like, hey, I mean, what would be the real? We haven't updated it, but like, what would be the real team total for the Bucks when they release the starting lineup? I mean, what, the low 90s, mid 90s, right? So that this game could be over. I mean, the Thunder could score 70 points in the first half, right? SGA could drop his 31 points in the first half. Hardenstein could have a great, and they just know they have 1/3 quarter run in them. And now you're looking at the last 18 minutes of the game with all these guys on the floor versus like what you alluded to, a G League team. That's what makes it scary. So I'm going to rethink this one because I always take in what you're saying, into consideration because you're so sharp on that stuff. But damn, it's going to be hard for me to click on a game and see Isaiah Joe, Wiggins, Williams all on the floor, and it's a 40-point game and they're just still increasing the lead. So that's the only part that scares me.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no, but hey, we'll watch it. We'll watch it unfold in the Discord tonight. But yeah, that's my take. It's Ryan Rollins and no Thunder for me. But hey, we'll see how it goes. Moving on to the next game, another exciting game, at least from daily fantasy purposes. We got 2 games left. We got the Pelicans, the injury-riddled Pelicans taking on the Nuggets. Jordan Hawkins is questionable tonight. Brandon Ingram is still out. Herb Jones is still out. And then DeJounte Murray, poor DeJounte, can't catch a break. He is out for the season with that Achilles. And on the flip side, I was going to say no major news, but I guess Russell Westbrook's been playing good this season. No Russell Westbrook, which would thrust Christian Braun back into the starting lineup. And then no Peyton Watson for the Nuggets as well. But talk to me a little bit about this game. Are you going Joker tonight or no Joker with a potential blowout risk?
Yeah, it's tough for me because I could see both sides of the coin. I'm going to lean on that the Nuggets let the Pelicans stay in this game. Both teams, obviously the Pelicans are bad in every defensive category. We know this. And the Nuggets have 126 team total. But the Nuggets have been really bad on defense too. And they're letting some of these games let these teams hang. And with the tag, and regardless of how we see the game playing out, we've seen Joker in 3 quarters just absolutely smash tags and have 80, 90 fantasy points in, 32 minutes. So yeah, I'll lean with the Joker stuff. But I think this could be a huge spot. Like I think this game can stay close. And I think people are going to be afraid to click anybody outside of Jose Alvarado as ownership shows on the Pelicans side. And I think that's way too much respect for the Nuggets defense. So, a couple of things that, are kind of, make me scratch my head a little bit. When we look at Zion, obviously hasn't touched 30 minutes yet, but looking back at his 5 games, he's played 24, 23, 26, 27, and 28 minutes. He's gone for 43, 57, 48, 47, and 50 DraftKings points in those spots. And I think this is going to be a great spot for him to have that same output. Yes, his tag at 8,500 is crazy, but, pretty soon we're going to see that, he's going to get his 31, 32 minutes. And I think, he's a very sneaky guy to kind of put into these lineups at 4 or 5% with multiple Nuggets on the other side. Doesn't rank out as high as Mr. DTA, Jose Alvarado, whatever his nickname is, at 4,800. His tag is up, absolutely, but we could see him play somewhere between 26 and 31 minutes tonight. That tag is too cheap for a grinder like him that, can fill up multiple buckets statistically. So he'll probably be the favorite play, but not far behind is Zion, and not far behind is Trey Murphy. If we predict a game where we see Zion for 24, 25 minutes, he is the primary shot taker on the floor when he is off, and he's very low owned. And we've seen plenty of games where he's flashed his upside, even at the tag at 78. I want to take advantage of a bad Nuggets, team defensively. And the CJ stuff will project out okay at low ownership, but I can't get behind CJ. So Jose Alvarado, and then not far behind is Trey Murphy and Zion. But the fun side is the Nuggets. I all these guys are in play in the starting lineup. Malone has not come out, but he's showing us that he does not trust the bench. Rio alluded to it in the slate plan. I've been noticing it a little bit more. It's just these guys are all playing disgustingly huge minutes in the mid to high 30s. And because of that, everybody's in play. They won't bump up Murray's tag. I know he had a stinker, but they won't bump up his tag. And 74 just seems too cheap. Brown, Porter, Aaron Gordon. I won't put Aaron Gordon in with those mixes. He hasn't really flashed as much upside, but I think this is a huge spot for everybody in the starting lineup. So Joker obviously way above. Murray and Porter are not far behind as well, and then Braun and then Gordon for me. But I'm good getting to anybody in the starting lineup to pair with Joker versus such a bad defensive team. And I'm okay running back Jose with one of Murphy, Zion, and then if you're up to it, CJ McCollum on the other side.
Yeah, 26% ownership is what we have for what they call him, Grand Theft Alvarado, which
there it is. That's what it is.
Yeah, he's a menace out there for sure. But man, I don't know. That's awful lot. We got the pronunciation police in the chat. So
Apologize,
Brown,
right?
no,
Right.
that's on me. I think I got you on the Braun track. So it's Christian Brown. Sorry to the NCAA champ. We apologize. I know he's a big fan of this show, so sorry, Christian, that we pronounced your name wrong. One game left on the slate. We got 400 people in here watching on this Monday. No Monday Night Football anymore. We appreciate you tuning in. Last game of the slate, someone was talking about Tyrese Halliburton, so you got some Halliburton love. We got the Jazz that we know the Jazz love giving up the three-point shot in this game. My boy Mo Bamba is out with a trade pending for the Jazz. Hate to see no Mo tonight. Colin Sexton is available. We got the new PJ Tucker on the Jazz. BJ, while you were sleeping, PJ Tucker is now a member of the Jazz, according to this. But the biggest news for the Pacers is Miles Turner is listed as questionable, but he is guaranteed to show up in a terrible outfit. But talk to me a little bit about this game, Pacers at the Jazz.
Yeah, no, yeah, if he's on the bench building Legos, he's the Lego guy, right? I saw Isaiah Stewart going up, yeah. And we got Ellis in the chat, but maybe he's on the bench playing with Legos. I'm hoping he's out because I want to see this full destruction of value just all appear. If he's in and Thomas Bryant is going to sneak in and make the start at 3,200, I would just love to see all of the gifts of the SpongeBob's running around or whatever other gifts of just how much value we have and what we're going to do post-lock. If he's out, absolutely, we're going to bump Siakam and Halliburton. The Jazz have been a little bit better at the rim, so regardless if he's in or out, he's not going to be in play for me. And they're good versus the ball handler too, as of the last couple of weeks. So not necessarily my favorite play in the world, but I mean, we're going to see huge bumps in production, I think, at 7,600 and 8,200 if Turner's out. If Turner is out, Thomas Bryant absolutely at 3,200. But that's pretty much it I have from the Pacers side. I'll keep it easy. I think the Mathurin, he's sick, if I'm not mistaken. Even if he does play, everybody's been sick, and playing an NBA caliber up and down game versus the Jazz might be a little tough. So I'm a little nervous about that. The Nembhard stuff, I think his price a little bit too expensive for me. And then jumping over the Jazz side, we got some interesting pieces over here. The Pacers have been giving up a ton of points at the rim, which makes me really interested. And Walker Kessler, and even Markkanen and John Collins, but definitely Walker Kessler at essentially no ownership. 6,700. I know that tag is coming up, but we've definitely seen not only a good floor but decent upside out of him. So I'll classify him as one of my favorite plays for the Jazz. but not far behind is going to be John Collins and Laurie. I mean, those prices are too cheap. I know we've said the same stuff about Laurie all season, but the John Collins stuff, I mean, 6,500 with the production that he's had to start the season. Now that he's back, I think it's a good spot for him to be productive at that tag. And would you give me a rankings after I'm done here for the Jazz if you have it? Because it's going to be hard for the guard stuff. I mean, Collier over Sexton is what I have, just because of not only the price differential, but I think the floor might be a little bit better at 5,100. And I don't really have a take off the bench, but I'm liking the big guys for the Jazz mostly, and hoping that Miles Turner is out so we can get to a few of these Pacers pieces. But, jump in if I missed anything here. If you like anything, it's just kind of a tough spot that I know this is going to be a nice paced matchup.
Yeah, it should be nice paced. It's tough to play these Jazz. I would agree with you, though. John Collins at 6,500 is a little bit underpriced. I don't know if we need to get there. Laurie at 7,000 is a little underpriced as well. But once again, I don't know if we need to get there as well. I mean, he shot double digits threes in his last 3 games. He does have the upside, but I think there's better places to go, in my opinion. And then it would be Tyrese Halliburton on the other side. I mean, at 8,200, I mean, he is, if Miles Turner sits, I think that just gives him more shots, more threes. But I think Halliburton has 55 plus upside, especially against this Jazz team that doesn't guard guards very well and gives up a ton of 3-pointers. That's just my take on that, where you could see, 25 real life points and 10 assists and, some rebounds for Halliburton would be.
And half that in the first quarter. How many games have we seen this season where he does all of that, the first quarter of a matchup, which is unbelievable. But
yeah.
No, I do like that a lot.
Yeah, that'll do it for all 8 games on this slate. We certainly appreciate all 400 of you tuning in. Hey, let's give them a play of the day. Give me your core play, your best play of the day. Who you got, BJ?
Yeah, I think the obvious value is going to come from multiple pieces today. I'm hoping Thomas Bryant sneaks in to really give us full value basis. But I think a real sneaky play on the slate today is from a stud level. I think it's going to be Cade. I think Cade can take advantage of the Hawks. And then in that same game, it's going to be Riche for me at 4,600. His minutes are increasing. They're going to want to keep getting the minutes. And I think that tag is just not enough for him with the upside that he holds at 31 minutes.
I'm gonna go up to New York in that Knicks game. Give me some Amen Thompson, 8,300. I think he breaks the slate tonight. I think he shows out double in the Garden. I think he has a really good game tonight at 8,300. I think that's a great price tag. That'll do it for me, Ham. I got my guy BJ. Tune in tomorrow for my guy Titletown and Rio. We'll be back in the booth on Tuesday. We'll have all of our core reports up tonight. We got some showdown content for you tonight as well, I believe. That'll do it for us. Anything before we get on out of here, BJ?
No, I mean, everybody be by their computers. This is going to be a slate that not only up to lock, but kind of building lineups to where you can make changes at the bottom of your DraftKings lineups, if you will, right? Your guard, forward, utility. We're going to want to try and utilize those for the news that we're going to get post-lock, because I think there's going to be a ton of changes. And if you got a date night with the lady tonight or whatever it may be, I don't think you should be loading up some money on this DraftKings slate.
Yeah, either don't load up money or cancel those plans. Tell you'll take her out tomorrow night or Wednesday night. But for BJ, I'm Ham. We'll be back Friday. But in the meantime, Rio and Title will have you Tuesday through Thursday. And let's ship it.